touchdown. After a brief hiatus, baseball is back in lower downtown Denver. The All-Star week is complete, and the Rockies and the rest of baseball set for the second half. The Rockies hope to be led by Michael Kadire and his fellow All-Stars, Carlos Gonzalez and shortstop Troy Tulowitzki, as the Rockies try to capture their first ever National League West Division crown. And they'll open up the second half against the Chicago Cubs, first of 3 here at Coors Field, first of 10 straight at 20th and Blake. Hi once again, everybody, with George Frazier. I'm Drew Goodman. Glad, of course, that you are along with us. The Rockies offense finished second in runs scored in the first half in the National League, and there aren't too many teams, if any, that can brag of a 3-4-5 combination that were all All-Stars and all starters.
Yeah, let's think about something, though. One of those, Tulowitzki, missed an awful lot of ball games, yet they still scored a lot of runs. They hit a lot of home runs. They do what you want to do offensively. And as you start to look at this record with the Rockies only 4 under 500, they're just 4.5 back in the West. The team hit a very good average at 265, second in the National League, second in home runs, and second in the National League runs per game. To go along with an offense, you have the pitching staff, which has done a very good job. But now you've got everybody healthy, and this offense will be one of the scariest offenses in the National League.
And obviously, the key to the second half is good health. The Rockies need to keep their key players out on the field in the final 66 games. And it begins with a 10-game homestand, as we mentioned. And, George, you were a player. And players, it goes by a cliche. You play it one game at a time. We now can do this as broadcasters. These first 10, 3 against the Cubs, 4 against the Miami Marlins, 3 against the struggling Milwaukee Brewers. They have to have a very strong homestand.
There's no question. And when you start to look at these games, you look at the Cubs, you're going to miss Garza. He's not pitching. Wood's not Garza. The 2 of their top pitchers, in my opinion, not here. And then against Miami, you're going to catch Fernandez 1. But you've got to come in and dominate these teams. They haven't played good baseball. And there's a reason they haven't. You have. So now this is where you can take advantage of the scheduling that's been presented to you and go out and play baseball. But you're right. You still have to go about it one day at a time. Don't get caught up thinking, 10-game homestand, we're going to go 9-1. You look up, you'll be 500.
Well, the Rockies begin the second half 4 games beneath 500 as they went into the All-Star break. One of the stories, their starting pitching. It was outstanding the final week before the break. More on that in a moment. that are back in town celebrating 20 years of Rockies baseball. Ben Petrick, Terry Shumpert, there's Mike Lansing. And one of the toughest guys to ever take the hill for the Rockies, Petey, Pedro Estacio. There's Kevin Ritz. Vinny, he's always around. And the big cat in town, the Dragon Slayer. We have a shot at him coming up also. Josh Fogg's here. Jason Jennings, the only National League Rookie of the Year for the Colorado Rockies. Back upstairs with George Frazier. I'm Drew Goodman. We're talking pitching right now. The Rockies were terrific against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Jorge De La Rosa gets the baseball tonight to begin the second half. Rockies been very good when he's on the hill.
Well, they have been very good. To think about what he's done, 5-1 at home. He's pitched very well throughout his career at home. Then you're going to hand it off to Nicasio. Then Tyler Chatwood, who's been outstanding. Nicasio, 2 very good AAA starts, dominated the Dodgers. So, you know, when you start to look at this, you're thinking that it's set where it is, but it all starts with the lefty and De La Rosa, who's 9-5 right now. 5-1 at home this season, 315 earned run average over 8 ball games at Coors Field. He's always pitched well at home, 39-21 overall in his career. The one pitch that he's added to the arsenal at home, if you're watching on TV, you think an awful lot of that pitch, looking like a curveball or slider. It's the split finger, but he can still go get the 90 to 94 mile an hour fastball and dominate the lineups of the opposition. And he's done that against the Chicago Cubs with an earned run average just above 2.
So the right man for the job to begin the second half. Jorge De La Rosa against the hard-throwing former Notre Dame football standout, Jeff Samardzija. We're ready for baseball. We know you are as well. Rockies and Cubs, come on back to Coors Field with us. Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by your 7 neighborhood Toyota stores. Toyota, let's go places. By King Soopers, more value for the way you live. By the Courtyard by Marriott, Western elegance in the cultural heart of the city. And by Southwest Airlines, find our fares online only at southwest.com. Beautiful evening in Denver. Perfect way to start the second half of the season. Tonight's weather is presented by Bluebell Ice Cream. The weather is warm in July, and Bluebell Ice Cream reminds you it's National Ice Cream Month. Pay attention to this, George. Treat yourself to Bluebell's newest flavor, Rock Slide Brownie, and celebrate with us today. We're going to be celebrating with Rock Slide
All
Brownie
I can tell you is it
on.
doesn't just have to be this month for me to enjoy ice cream from Bluebell. I enjoy it every day.
I understand. Me as well. 80 degrees are First pitch temperature is perfect for baseball, not a cloud in the sky. There's Darwin Barney, former star at Oregon State University, won a couple of national titles there. Very solid second baseman. And here's the rest of Dale Swain's Southwest batting order. Chicago Cubs come in at 42 and 51. The Rockies at 46 and 50. Cody Ransom, well traveled. He'll bat second. Anthony Rizzo, they're building behind. Then Alfonso Soriano. He's ageless. He's been red hot of late. Starlin Castro, Junior Lake making his major league debut. Dave Chappelle, Wellington Castillo behind the plate. And Jeff Samardzija on the hill. Jorge De La Rosa is ready to go. And the home plate umpire Adrian Johnson says play ball. First pitch just a tad bit inside at 89, ball one. De La Rosa 5-1 at home this year. George was talking about his glowing numbers at Coors Field.
And not just Coors Field, but throughout his career he's been good at home. 39 and 21 with an earned run average just under 5. And you got to remember, he struggled early on in his career against Chicago. 4-0, 205 earned run average in his career versus the Cubs. 30 2/3 innings. He struck out 37.
Let's take a look at tonight's Farmers Insurance game plan. What do you have, Frazier?
Well, it's big for me. This is a very good fastball hitting team with Rizzo in the lineup, Alfonso and Soriano in the lineup, with Starlin Castro. So secondary stuff's going to be very important for him in this ball game. The ability to throw that split finger when he wants to for a strike.
Here's Cody Ransom. Cody Ransom never hit for much average, George, but he'll run into a fastball, as you suggest, and hit some long balls on occasion. One
of the hottest hitters they've had in July so far, just who Drew's talking about. Cody Ransom's hit 417, and you say, well, how many at bats? 48, excuse me, 20-something at bats in the month of July. So, you know, this is a guy that kind of pushed to the scrap heap, and they found him, and he's performed well for the Cubs.
They remember at the start of the year he was with the Padres. They waived him and the Cubs picked him up. Ball and a strike on Ransom.
A former teammate of mine, Randy Bush, the assistant general manager now with the Chicago Cubs, say it's going to take time to turn it around, but they feel like they're in a really good place because they've been able to stockpile an awful lot of young, talented people that are in their lower minor leagues at this point.
You know, that National League Central, George, is so good up top. The Cardinals are outstanding. You knew the Reds would be outstanding again. The mild surprise, probably, or maybe, you know, maybe a big surprise, if you will, the Pittsburgh Pirates. They showed signs the last couple of years, and they've put it together so far through the first half of the season. So up top, it's a great division. Well, you look at the Cubs' record, they're not, from a one-loss standpoint, all that far behind what the Rockies have done. So
42 and 51.
Yeah, they've played much better baseball the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, and if they were in the division that the Rockies are in, you're looking not at 15 back, but probably 6 or 7. I'd have to do the numbers, but it's not many. It's not a poor ball club by any means.
Let's take a look at the Central Division. Again, loaded up top. It's going to be a great battle. And right now, looks like 2 wild cards could come out of the National League Central. Pirates a game behind the Cards, and then the Reds 5 back. You know how talented they are. I thought one of the better series the Rockies have played this year, certainly on the road, was when they took 2 of 3 in Cincinnati.
Absolutely, it was. Cincinnati, a very good ball club. They're starting to get healthy again.
3-2, and a ground ball fair, and the long throw is accurate. Arenado with a little help from Todd Helton. Cody Ransom out at first base.
Now, once again, I mean, it's a great play by Arenado to range far to his right to get to this baseball backhanded. But do you know how comforting it is to everyone in this infield that they can just get it near first base and it's going to be picked out of the dirt? Helton makes it look so easy over at first, but so does Arenado at third with the range and the ability to throw off balance and keep it on line.
Well done by Nolan Arenado and number 17. Here's Anthony Rizzo with 2 outs, and the heater is off the plate at 92.
Yeah, one of those guys in their lineup that obviously, given a long-term contract, they're long and high hopes for what he will be able to deliver, but he has struggled so far. In the month of July, just 167.
George, he's been hot or cold, and you know that goes for any player in the big leagues, but when you're hitting 3-hole, I was talking to some people with the Cubs. When you're hitting 3-hole, the peaks and valleys can't be as pronounced.
They can't be. It's got to be a steadying influence. In other words, you might be a lifetime 270 hitter, and there's going to be months you hit 400. There's going to be months you hit 220. But you have to be consistent with what you're doing offensively from the RBI standpoint. You're going to get exposed at this spot in the lineup.
Great pitch. Slider in there, 2-2. Jorge's one of those guys, George, that it is really hard to distinguish when it's a slider or that split change.
Well, and there's a good reason for that. It's his grip of the way he handles it and the finger pressure that he puts on it.
Fastball down low, 3-2. Two outs, nobody on. 3-2 on Anthony Rizzo, just underway at Coors Field. And he loses him. That'll bring up Alfonso Soriano. It'll give us an opportunity to look at the Rockies defense, which is brought to you by Excel Energy. We bring you the energy you need so you can live the life you want. Visit responsiblebynature.com to learn more. In the outfield, Cargo, Dexter, and Michael Kadire. Dexter healthy again, returned Thursday right before the break, as did Troy Tulowitzki at shortstop. LeMahieu's playing second. Willeen Rosario's behind the plate. So the Rockies have their current A unit together and out on the field. This has been the hottest Cub. Alfonso Soriano. Yeah, you look at Alfonso Soriano and how strong he is. He's in great physical shape. George, he doesn't look a whole lot different than the kid who broke in with the Yankees.
Isn't it amazing? I mean, his body and the way he takes care of himself, still uses that redwood for a bat up at home plate.
He takes a branch from a tree nearby, doesn't he? Is that what he does?
They have him carve it up, put his name on it. But you throw a ball middle half in, you think as guys get older, you could get in on their hands. Not the case with this guy. He's very quick on that inner half.
Takes that big swing. He's out in front on a changeup. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Soriano, over his last 16 games, listen to this, folks, 323 average. Okay. 9 home runs, though.
Oh, he's crushed the baseball. I'm surprised that people like the Red Sox, maybe Detroit, other teams of that nature haven't come after him, wanting the offensive help after the break.
May have something to do with a very large contract. 2 balls and a strike. Soriano, we've heard this now for a couple of years, especially with the new regime taking over. Soriano, they say, could not be a better teammate, could not be a harder worker.
Great leader in the locker room.
Tremendous. Plays with a smile on his face, never misses. That's a strike. And you just park him out there in left field. Write his name in the lineup.
Every day.
Every day. You don't worry about it. It's nice when you have a couple of those guys on your team. 2-2. And he got it. So De La Rosa strikes out Soriano. Rizzo, who walked left at first base, and we'll see the Rockies offense when we come back to 20th and Blake. Rockies offensively against Jeff Samardzija. Dexter Fowler well again, and he'll lead things off for Walt Weiss's team. Let's take a glance at the rest of the batting order this evening, presented by Southwest Airlines. DJ LeMahieu's 3 for 3 lifetime against Samardzija. He'll bat second, and then the trio of all-stars starters: Cargo, Tulo, and Cuddy. Todd Helton, William Rosario, Nolan Arenado 6, 7, and 8. Tulowitzki batting .321 in his career in the second half. And the big, strong right-hander Jeff Samardzija on the hill. Record, George, a little deceiving.
It is deceiving. You look at overall numbers, and he has struggled in July. He's made 2 starts, and in 10 innings, he's given up 14 runs. So, you know, that's a struggle you don't look at. But then you look at the strikeouts, and you see how much of what he's accomplished with that part of it. With some offensive support, this is a very hard thrower. Reminds me a little bit of Max Scherzer, that's with the Detroit Tigers. Same body style, run it at 95, 96, good slider. He pitched very well against the Rockies back at Wrigley Field this year. 8 innings, 5 hits, a couple of runs. He struck out 7. Fastball, he'll use it about 50% or a little bit more than it's the slider. #1 secondary pitch. He'll show changeup cutter, but it's fastball slider for the most part.
And he falls behind Dex 3-0. George, how big an issue is it for a guy that initially they made a reliever, and it wasn't until the start of last year that he became a full-time starter?
Well, the issue is as far as being able to carry the workload body-wise. Can he handle the amount of pitches? And he's shown this year he's thrown 110, 100, 104, 101, 111, so on, 115, 160. He can handle that and maintain his velocity over that course of time. But, you know, this is a guy that didn't pitch much in college.
He had a little football going on also. Dexter walks on 4 pitches, and now DJ LeMahieu at the plate. Different lineup. With all due respect to everybody else who's led off when Dexter's in there, George.
Much better situation for everything. I mean, can you imagine how great Walt Weiss felt today riding in this lineup, having everybody healthy for the first time in a long time?
Feel a whole lot smarter, don't you?
Yeah, I've always said that about Joe Torre when he managed.
Get back. They got it.
Too big a lead, trying to be aggressive. Nothing wrong with that. But you got a catcher that can throw behind the plate. You know, on a ball that appeared to be inside, Castillo took advantage of a big lead by Dexter. 2 big crow hops, stepped out, and in the snap throw, it had to be on the money, and it was. See how big that lead is? That's inviting when you got a right-handed hitter standing at the plate. There's no blockage of the left-handed hitter where you don't see it as well.
1-2. And a big break for Samardzija after the 4-pitch walk.
Well, it takes away the pressure knowing this lineup of the Rockies. You know, you're trying to guide a ball instead of throw the baseball. See how he responds after that play by his catcher.
On the ground is short. Starlin Castro. 2 outs. The Cubs defense brought to you by Excel Energy. Make the choices that fit your life. Excel will provide you the energy to power it. Visit responsiblebynature.com to learn more. They have an outfield of Alfonso Soriano in left. Junior Lake making his major league debut in center field. Dave Sapelt is in right field. Ransom and Castro left side. Darwin Barney, very good hands, along with Rizzo at first base. Wellington Castillo, you just saw, can throw. He's good defensively. 2 outs, nobody on. And here's Cargo. He had a great road trip, George. Hit 400 through that West Coast swing.
Well, and again, you talked about 3-hole hitters and their production and what they have to do. This is a great example of what a team looks for. You talk about consistency. 25 and 64. Sure, he'll hit these 1 or 2 games. Who doesn't? But over the course of 162, like having him on our ball club.
Fouled off. It's 0-2 on Cargo. He does own a home run against Samardzija. Samardzija 1-0 with a 2.25 ERA in 6 ball games against the Rockies, but only 2 of those ball games were starts. Samardzija has what I would describe, George, and I think you concur with, as easy heat.
Well, it is. I mean, you watch his delivery. There's not much effort. There's not a head snap. There's not any kind of a full jump at the end of the delivery. He's not spinning all over the mound. He stays directly on line with his hips, and it makes it so much better on all the other pitches that he offers.
Cubs have a semi shift on. The shortstop Castro is playing virtually up the middle. And the third baseman Ransom way over. And remember, Cargo had that finger injury, and I don't like the looks of that. He had pulled the hand off the bat.
Remember, right before they went on a trip on the West Coast, there was 3 different swings like this. Mike Shaw Subaru Supermo. Now watch, as that hand came across, the bottom drops off. Because what happens is that finger rolls on the inside.
Three and two. And Cargo pulled himself out of the home run hitting contest. Supposed to be Cargo and Michael Kadire, 2 of the 4 National Leaguers.
You can understand why. You're up here trying to uncork some massive swings to hit the ball a country mile. That's the last thing you need to be doing on your hand.
Cargo's had a big month of July. And today is the 19th of July. 66 remaining. 3 and 2. Home run leaders in the National League. Cargo's on top with 25. Pedro Alvarez, who filled in for him in the home run hitting contest, is second. And Dominic Brown, Paul Goldschmidt, who's had a tremendous year for Arizona. Cargo leading the league in slugging percentage as well. Total bases, extra base hits. And Samardzija gets Gonzalez to end the first frame. Those scores, we go to the second at Coors Field. Starlin Castro to lead things off. Today's sideline report is brought to you by the Honey Smoked Fish Company, a ready-to-eat, energizing superfood you can add to any dish that's healthy and delicious. Mark Stout, what's happening?
Drew, George, here we go. Second half is here. It's another Fan Friday. Yep, hashtag Fan Friday. Taking your questions at Twitter, at @RootSports_RM. This is what I tweeted last night. Let's step it up, Rockies fans. Second half is here. Hashtag win the NL West. So get the questions in. We'll answer whatever you got. Rocks, baseball, think of something. We'll see if we get you an answer, guys.
We look forward to that, Mark. Thank you. And the first pitch of inning number 2's in there. Strike one on Starlin Castro.
Yeah, Castro has swung the bat a little bit better in the month of July. He had really struggled. Except to 308 here in the month of July, but he struggled early. April and May was not good.
Yeah, they did something interesting, George. He had played in 269 straight games. He's an everyday guy. But he was in a horrendous slump, and he had made 5 errors in his previous 10 games. And Dale Swaim sat him down in his office and said, "You know what? I'm going to give you a day off. You need a mental day." And since that time, 18 games as he's gone on strikes, he's played errorless baseball and hit over 300. So it was evidently a much-needed day off.
Well, a couple of things happen when you're a young player and you sign a long-term contract like he signed with the Cubs. You can also say, look at all the security. You can sit back and relax and just collect your money and go play as an average player. Or you work too hard and you overwork yourself into slumps. You overwork yourself into making errors because you feel an obligation to that man, Dale Swaim, and your ball club and the Chicago Cub fans.
Junior Lake making his major league debut, and he hits one down the left field line. And he is going to have a double with 1 out. Well, he got it out of the way on the first big league pitch that he sees. Second base umpire Lance Barrett calls timeout. The ball goes into the dugout.
As it should. I mean, let me tell you what, those legs were pretty heavy coming out of the box when he hit this. But then he realized, I better get it going, and he did just that. This is a young man that had never played above Double-A till this year, and he went to Triple-A Iowa. Last year at Double-A, he hit 279 with 10 home runs and 50 RBIs. His first at bat, a double.
Well, he has an interesting story. He is the same age, literally they're a week apart, he and Starlin Castro. And early on in the minor league system, the Cubs both were shortstops, both very well thought of. And then Castro took off, and he takes off for third, and he swipes third base.
Obviously, the scouting report came very quickly.
Well, De La Rosa has given up more stolen bases than any other starting pitcher for the Rockies. Unusual because he's left-handed.
Walking lead. You see LeMahieu come to the bag, taking all the way at home plate Sapelt to allow him to get to third base to try to get a run across for the Cubs.
The Rockies will bring the infield in with Sapelt at the plate in the second inning and 1 out. But to finish that story, so Junior Lake and Starlin Castro were both 2 well thought of prospects. Castro took off, and Lake, kind of went more level by level. Starlin set a Cubs franchise record with the number of hits in his first few years. Now they got him hung up. Good job by De La Rosa running at him. And
how about the rookie? He's waving at Sapelt to get to second base while he's trying to get into a rundown. He was going on contact, and halfway down he started yelling or motioning for him to get onto second base. He was going to try to stay in the rundown long enough.
And you know what, George? Honestly, he did a tremendous job because he allowed Sapelt to get the scoring position.
He sure did. Ball hit right back at De La Rosa. Then he's going to run him back to third. Watch right here. He's waving. Get going. Round the bag. And then the chase was on pretty good. It took a little bit of time.
How many times you have to tag him, by the way?
To catch up to it. Yeah. I mean, he was quick to get off. If that ball gets through, obviously base hit, he's going to score.
Oh, you know what?
Never tagged him. That's why.
Tag him. You're right. So 2 outs. Wellington Castillo is at the plate. Sapelt at second base on the fielder's choice. Way outside. One 5 on that rundown. Two-0. Castillo's hit pretty well at Wrigley, not so well out on the road, just 220 away from the friendly confines.
They're going to go ahead and let Samardzija hit. A 2-0 count. Walt Weiss with 2 outs, not taking any chances. You got to be careful with Samardzija. Even though he's hitting 100, he does have a home run and a couple of RBIs.
The home run, George, you may recall, came against the Rockies and John Garland.
It was in Wrigley Field.
Well, what do you think of when you think of Jeff Samardzija?
Strong dude that caught a lot of balls going across the middle and he wasn't scared.
Right, tough guy, great athlete, yeah. Not good athlete,
right.
Great athlete.
Right.
So I know the average isn't much, but you can't just groove 3 down the middle. Took a pretty good hack there, fouls it off out of play, 0-1. He's got the Frazier hairdo from '78.
Got a little bit of the Manchu working too, doesn't
You didn't do that, you just did the stash.
he? No, I had the beard and the whole thing.
You did?
Yeah, when you pitch bad like I did in '85, you grew whatever you could to cover up.
That's a good breaking ball. Runners at first and second, 2 outs, no score. Dave Suppelt at second, Wellington Castillo at first. Here's the 0-2, and he got it. So a good decision to walk Castillo, and De La Rosa strikes out Samardzija on 3 pitches. Michael Kadire, Todd Helton to face Jeff Samardzija. Who wants tacos? Remember, when the Rockies score 7 or more during any game, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day. Do between 4 and 6 and get your Rockies taco special. With George Frazier and Mark Stout, I'm Drew Goodman. Perfect night for baseball. Rockies beginning the second half against the Chicago Cubs. Rockies will play 10 straight at home. Cubs begin the second half with 10 straight on the road. In fact, they'll be in the National League West over the next week and a half. 3 here against the Rockies, and then it is on to Arizona for 4, and then San Francisco for 3. Tulowitzki 0 for 10 since his return from the DL and that rib injury, and he takes outside ball 1. I would not be alarmed by the 0 for 10, just getting his timing back.
Different when you're trying to go here at Colorado Springs, swung the bat well. A little bit different when you're coming in here to play. And Play against guys like Samardzija and other people that throw it. Kershaw. Not just timing, but selection. Everything about it.
Rockies had, as most teams do, a workout yesterday late afternoon. Get on field BP.
Break a sweat, play a little catch. Not many guys will, some will, but not many stick around. And
down the line, base hit past a diving Anthony Rizzo. And the Rockies have their first knock. A leadoff single in the second by Tulowitzki. And here comes All-Star Michael Kadire. He was in the home run derby, and George very close to making the finals.
15 was what he hit in the first couple of rounds. I mean, it was. He hit some monster shots, too. If you've ever been to Citi Field, even though he brought the fences in, he hit the ball some places people don't go an awful lot. It was a great day for him.
And great to share it with his son. There's a strike on Michael, who had an MVP caliber first half. If you look at the numbers, 330 average, 16 home runs, 55 RBIs. Third in the league in hitting. Second in the league in slugging percentage to his teammate Cargo. That's down low.
You know, one thing that Samardzija's had difficulty doing at times is pitching in to right-handers. He likes to stay away on the outer half, and when he comes in, it's not really a true in on the hands. You know, you get a guy's attention. How about Kadire against right-handers? Nearly 350. Wow.
That's a strike, 1 and 2. Time now for Who's Flying High, presented by Sky Venture Colorado Indoor Skydiving. Well, look at this. Cargo and Cuddy, 1 and 2. How many times has that happened since 1946? If it were to stay that way, 4 other times. And Bichette and Walker in '95 with the Rockies. One of the pair of teammates to finish 1 and 2 in slugging percentage. Inside, 2 and 2. Look at this. Joe Morgan, George Foster. They were pretty good, as I recall, George.
They were pretty good, yeah. You always used to ask me, why did you not like going to Cincinnati? That was a couple of reasons.
Yeah, Perez. And I got some more for you, Rose.
Yeah, there's a couple other guys.
If you ever dreamed of flying, now's your chance. Visit SkyVentureColorado.com for more information. 2 and 2. Tulowitzki draws a throw. Dyer keeps the at bat alive.
Just out in front of that split finger at 83 miles an hour. Samardzija trying to cut down the pitch count, get a ball on the ground, try to flip 2.
Michael now, George, has the distinction of being an all-star in the American League and an all-star in the National League.
Pretty good distinction to have.
2011 with the Twins. And that is on the ground at third. There's one on first, out at first base. Marlon Barney got it there just in time.
We'll be joined here in a minute by Michael's wife, Claudia. She's standing in the back of the booth watching her husband hit into this double play ball pretty quick over at first base, as it typically is with Kadire. Half a step.
Looked like a good call by Field and Colbreth. 2 outs, nobody on. Helton will take his turn. Tell you what, Todd had a good series in Los Angeles. Good road trip overall, 7 for 19.
He mentioned that if you didn't get a chance to see the interview with Todd, he talked an awful lot about it. He said it's the best his body's felt in 4 or 5 years. And it's starting to show on the field now.
And you can catch that interview tonight after the game again on Rockies Real Time. George sat down for a significant period of time with Todd up at Todd's Ranch around Greeley, Colorado.
Neat time, too. I mean, there's a lot of things in this show you'll really enjoy to see a side of Todd you normally haven't seen for a while.
Barney circles and flips to first. So we move on to inning number 3. Claudia Kadair will join us when we come back. No score at Coors Field. Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by the Ford Fiesta with 40 miles per gallon. It's a pretty big deal. Ford Fiesta, go further. By Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By the Honey Smoked Fish Company, a ready-to-eat, energizing superfood you can add to any dish that's healthy and delicious. And by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. No scores. We go to the 3rd inning. Top of Jorge De La Rosa will see the top of the order for the Cubs. Darwin Barney will lead off, then Cody Ransom and Anthony Rizzo. Just a spectacular Coors Field evening with George Frazier. I'm Drew Goodman, and we're joined in the booth by Claudia Kadair. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me.
You had a whirlwind week. Normally, I know for families who play baseball for a living, it's a chance to catch a breath of fresh air, relax a little bit. I know you guys were going to spend some time on the beach out west. Instead, it was zipping to New York, huh?
Yes, we still went to California. We still went to Newport Beach for a couple of days. I had talked it up so much to our son Casey that I could not go. So we went for the weekend, and then Casey and I hopped on a plane with Michael and went to New York, and were there for about 48 hours. And it was a lot of fun.
Did you sleep?
I did, yeah. I mean, it was good. I mean, I had one of 3 kids, so actually it was kind of a break, you know?
And the good thing is you've gone through this before with Michael in the American League, so you kind of knew what to expect.
Yep. New York City does it a little differently.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? That city does things differently.
They sure do.
Yeah.
You know what's neat? We just showed a shot. We're going to show it again. Casey, and these are memories for a lifetime. He's going to remember Dad in the home run derby.
He's his biggest fan. Absolutely.
How neat is that? I mean,
that's awesome.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
I mean, I almost get teary-eyed watching that.
I know, it's great. He loved it. I mean, that's the way we were able to talk him out of leaving the beach, and he never looked back. He loved it.
You want to stay on the beach, or would you like to go to the All-Star game and hang out on the field with Dad, watch him hit home runs and be a part and high-five everybody?
I don't know if he knows how cool it is. You know, he will someday.
Yeah.
And he had a great time, though, that's for sure.
Hey, you guys, the wives for the Rockies always do some wonderful charitable things, and I don't want to embarrass you for that, but this looks like the brown bag lunch that I used to take to school when I was in 2nd grade, but it has something much more valuable in it than my tuna fish sandwich back in the day.
Yeah, well, we're starting to get some fundraising into full gear here, and we're starting preparing for our grab bag event, which is going to be next weekend, the 26th and 27th, Friday and Saturday. And what we do is we have all the current roster players sign 24 baseballs, and we put them into individual brown bags like this, so you have absolutely no idea who is in here. And they're $40. You can purchase one, and with the money that we raise, we support some really great charities in the area. This year we've picked a couple really special ones. Last year we raised over $20,000 with this event, so we're really hoping that the Denver community will come out and help us support these charities.
And tell us again, so it's next weekend.
Yep.
Now, if you're planning on coming to the ball game, you bought a ticket, or,
yes.
or maybe you're planning on buying a ticket, where will we find the wives, and how early should they get there?
Yeah, we have a kiosk right behind home plate. It's a great location. And we start selling when the gates open, and we are there until they sell out. And we split them in half, so there's baseballs on both nights. When the first half sells out, we stop selling, and the second night we're there for the same amount of time.
Nice play by Arenado. You have a great story, and I can't remember if last year we had you tell it on the air, but Michael and yourself from what's become a baseball hotbed in that Chesapeake area in Virginia. And I think it's really funny that one of the big stars in the game, Justin Upton, you as a teacher had in class in high school, correct?
Yes. Yep. That ages me a little, but
did he get all his homework
true.
In? Because I want to give him a hard time. I like Justin. Next time I see him, I want to give him a hard time.
He's a really smart kid, but
you heard that, but
his mother actually also taught at the same school that I did.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yvonne Upton, great lady, good
How
friend.
How unfair is that? You walk into the lunchroom and go, you might want to talk to BJ. That's not right.
And so, Justin at the time was playing football. It was in the fall, and he was having a hard time getting his work in. And as a teacher, you're supposed to call the parent, And so I actually just left a note in her mailbox, and she came into the class and called him out in front of all of his friends, and it was really embarrassing for everybody, and I felt really bad, but I mean, he got all of his work in.
Yeah, that was the end of that problem, right?
Yeah, good boy. Well done.
I was getting ready to say, you went to the bottom of the Christmas list real fast. This teacher's getting nothing from me for Christmas.
Now, have you seen him since he's been in the big leagues?
Yeah,
I'm sure?
Absolutely. Great guy.
Right.
I mean, his family, they're good friends of ours, and, so absolutely water under the bridge. He's a good kid.
Yeah, he's done okay for himself.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah. So again, that event is next weekend.
Yeah, Friday and Saturday nights, and like I said, $40. You are guaranteed an autographed baseball.
And if you get Michael's autograph, you will not have to look her and say, okay, now whose autograph is this? And we've told the story before. Michael learned this from Harmon Killebrew, that hey, make sure every letter is legible so people know whose name is on it.
Yeah, and if there is a doubt, each bag has a little slip of paper in it that tells you who has signed it. So
there's a Josh Rutledge baseball. That's pretty cool. Hey, Claudia, thanks so much for coming by. We appreciate it.
No problem.
And every time you come by and you get a 1, 2, 3 inning more on defense, that's a good thing as well.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Rocks and the Cubs. It's another hashtag Fan Friday here out in the center field set. Got a little tweet for you from Anthony Rodriguez, and he wants to know about the fifth starter situation, Drew and George, with the Rocks. I know Roy Oswalt is back with the team, still on the DL. Not sure what his situation is. What do you guys think?
Well, he had a hamstring injury, and Roy has said on a couple of occasions he never had a hamstring injury. And I think, George, I don't know if you did a hamstring when you were playing.
Never.
Most guys don't realize until they do it how significant an injury that is. This is a line drive to right. It's got to get down. It will not. So Rosario out on a line shot to Sapelt. One gone. In other words, when it starts feeling better and you think you're okay to go, it's still pretty tender inside. And so Oswalt's doing some exercises right now, but it's not like you're going to see him in a week or two. He's a ways away.
Think of the stride. When you start to stride out, playing catch and flipping a ball from 30 feet is different than loading up on a back leg, trying to stride out to get your stride to throw a baseball.
Back up the middle, and Barney is there, and he's going to throw out Nolan Arenado. Too quickly gone in the Rockies half of the third, and that'll bring up De La Rosa. So right now in the fifth starter spot, even though he has struggled quite a bit on Monday, Drew Pomeranz is scheduled to get his fourth start this year in the big leagues. He has said that he has to be a whole lot better. He understands that.
Start the other day in Tulsa. Watched that start actually with Drew, and worked on a slider at that point, but was hit hard by the Northwest Arkansas Ball Club, which is the Kansas City Royals. They have some older players on that team. Fields is a guy to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Scott Fletcher's son, who worked for us as an infield instructor, is #1 draft pick, hit a home run. I tell you, I saw the other day was Duffy, former #1 pick left-hander. Punched out 13 in 5 innings. He's up to 98 again.
It's pretty impressive. 1-1 on De La Rosa.
For a great deal, let's think about it for a minute. Be sure to ask the Rockies about the Sweet Six-Pack with savings of up to 25% off the regular price. That's right. The Sweet Six-Pack with all the games coming up, they're still available for the Boston series. So that's obviously one you'd like to look at with all the West Coast games going on here at the ballpark. Why not?
Darwin Barney's been busy. And through 3 innings, so the Rockies have had a walk and a base hit, but through 3 innings, Samardzija has faced the minimum. We'll lead things off. Rockies fans, we want to get your thoughts as we start the second half of the 2013 campaign during Toyota Talk. Text the word Toyota followed by your thoughts on this question. What are you most looking forward to in the second half?
Hey, Drew.
Yes, sir.
Didn't that used to be a red Toyota?
No, it's always been purple, hasn't it?
No.
They changed it. Somebody drive off with the red one and drive the purple one up there?
Last year was red.
Oh, last
this year's
year.
blue. Purple. How about that?
Makes more sense.
So how do
that
you
it's
think
purple.
it got up there?
There's a ramp that they put outside the.
I don't think so.
No, there is. I've seen
don't
it.
think
I've
so.
seen it, George.
I don't think so.
They did this in
It's
late
like
March.
15 stories high.
No, there's a ramp, and they have to jump over that little restaurant
Okay.
there, and they landed
All
up there.
right.
You got to apply the brakes quickly, though.
I understand. So
Like
now your
landed-
nose is getting much longer.
It's like landing on an aircraft carrier.
Oh, that's easy.
Soriano struck out swinging his first time. 3 punch-outs in 3 innings for Jorge De La Rosa, looking for his 10th win. You know, his 9 wins, the most he's ever had in the first half. That's a strike. And I'm sure most of you are aware, De La Rosa a few years ago won 16 games.
Well, I think he's 5-2 when he came off before he got hurt. The next year after winning 16.
Yep. This is hit well to center field. Dexter going back, and he's run out of room. Soriano has hit another home run, his 17th of the year, and his 10th in his last 17 games, and he gives the Cubs a 1-0 lead.
How about this, too? That's the 36th home run off the left-handers this year. Tied for first with Oakland. Now they've taken it over. So think about that, too. They've been able to leave the yard against left-handers. Soriano now ties Johnny Bench 57th all-time with home run number 389. Really loads to that back leg. I tell you what, he generates a lot of bat speed. It's a big whip action. And then Dexter can't hang on to this one. It's out and into pond.
Starlin Castro at the plate, and this one to DJ LeMahieu, an accurate throw. Trying to think if, or trying to gauge whether De La Rosa got a little leather on that, just for the official scoring standpoint. It'd be 1-4-3 if he did. And now from the press box, we did hear that De La Rosa did get a glove on it.
I think he did too. It's going to hit right back at him here. A little bit of deflection slowed the ball down. Might have gotten into the outfield otherwise.
Junior Lake, second big league at bat. He saw one pitch his first time up, and he doubled down the left field line. That car's easier to get where it's located.
Well, just kind of drive it up, get out, hit the lock button, move on. Oh, it's unlocked. The doors are open. Is Dinger out there signing autographs, thinking about getting in it and riding around? Yep, figured.
1-1 on Junior Lake from San Pedro de Macorís in the Dominican Republic, and it's 1-2. See why the Cubs signed him as a 16-year-old kid, George. He's 6'3", about 215, 220 pounds. Good-looking athlete.
Very good looking athlete. You know, I watched him when he ran. I wanted to see the strides when he hit around that first base bag. He really cut the bag well. He's been taught well by this Cub organization. Do you know who their Double-A coach is?
Manager?
Pitching coach? No, their pitching coach. Coach Jeff Frasero.
Coach, yeah. Story behind that. That's kind of a little inside joke. Is we
But
had
you'll
a member,
think it's funny when he tells
yeah,
you.
well, we had a member of our crew, longtime fellow colleague in television, who's now working for the Milwaukee Brewers on their television side. Here's the 2-2. Back up the middle. Nice grab. Junior Lake thought he was going to hit 1,000. He's got his average cut in half. Good play by De La Rosa. So anyhow, we're on the plane, and Jeff Facero, it's the first trip after spring training. Jeff Facero gets on. Jeff, you know, had been in the league a long time. He had gray hair.
Yeah.
And one of our colleagues went up to him and he said,
"Well, tell him who it is, Jeff Schenker."
Jeff Schenker.
Yeah.
People don't know who he is, but Jeff went up to him, our Jeff, and he said, "Hey, nice to meet you. My name's Jeff Schenker. What's your name, Coach?"
That made him feel good, didn't it? Was he pretty excited about that?
I'm not a coach. I'm still playing.
Oh, man.
So from that point on, we kind of kiddingly called Jeff Coach.
Yeah. Not Jeff Schenker, but Jeff.
Yeah, no, we never call him Coach. Tulo, he's done that before. That's really good. Troy Tulowitzki cuts down Dave Chappelle. A home run from Soriano. 1-0 Cubs.
Bottom four at Coors Field. You might have missed a few moves and a few notes about the Rockies that happened here just over the All-Star break, and they have to do with some pitchers down in the Springs. Jeff Francis, by the way, he's going to move to the bullpen. Aaron Cook not going to pitch anymore, at least this season, some arm problems. And George, we got a...
Whoa, hold on a minute. This ball's tagged by Dexter, and it is done. Fowler's tied it up with his 11th of the year.
Boy, don't you know that feels great. Been a lot of home runs early. Been a while in between, but not now.
And George, that is to the deepest portion of this ballpark. That was over 420 feet.
Samardzija not a guy that gives up an awful lot of home runs either. This dead central, right out by their bullpen, and what Drew's talking about, that V right there, one of the deepest parts of the yard. You know, Lake thinking about it, first time in the yard here. I got a shot. Hey, I can catch this thing. Whoop! Wait a minute, no more real estate.
No more glove either.
You're in a part of that lineup. Dexter's power, LeMahieu's ability to get on base, steal a base, and then you got Gonzalez, Tulowitzki, Kadire, Helton. Dangerous part.
Dex with that big smile. 1 ball, 1 strike on DJ LeMahieu. Boy, that made a loud sound, didn't it?
Uh-huh.
So we're tied at 1, a pair of solo home runs. Dexter and Alfonso Soriano. swing. Let's go back out to center field and visit again with Mark Stout. Mark, we apologize for Dexter interrupting you.
Yeah, that's fine if he's going to hit one out. I love that. Here's the pitching moves we were talking about at the Springs. Aaron Cook shutting it down. He's got an elbow issue. Jeff Francis has moved to the bullpen. And Armando Galarraga traded to the Rockies for Parker Frazier. George and Dave Land had actually tweeted at @RootSports_RM. He wanted to know, what you thought about that deal and how it kind of came down. So talk about that. And Jeff Francis, too, was a good friend of yours.
Yeah, Jeff, very good friend of mine. Jeff actually wants to try the bullpen to see how it works and if he can do it to add value to himself going forward in his career. And as far as Parker's trade concerned, Parker, when it initially happened, I'll be honest with you, was a little bit shocked. I mean, he'd spent his whole career, basically his whole life. This is my 16th year in the broadcast, so he's 24 years old. So since 8 years old, this is the only organization he's ever known in his life. And always wanted to put a uniform on at the big league level. Didn't work out, so now he'll move on to Cincinnati and try his hand over there. You never know. He may appear here at Coors Field. He may not. But I think it's best for both parties, and he'll be happy, and he's excited in Pensacola, Florida with their AA ball club. And I think Galarraga, let's not forget, one blown call from a perfect game. He's won 26 ball games. It gives you value for a fifth starter. If somebody gets hurt, it's not like you're bringing up a young kid that the Rockies went through. Obviously, last year was a little bit of a struggle at times. And now you're bringing a guy, a veteran with 5 years in the big leagues, up to maybe start for you if that need arises.
George, you got traded a few times. The first time it probably is a shock, and especially it's different circumstances for Parker, who literally grew up as a Rockies fan and in the Rockies organization.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's the whole thing that you go through, I think, because he really did grow up as a kid in the organization. I mean, he was 8 years old. He bat boyed for Keith Schultz on the visiting side for Dusty Baker, for former Rockies manager Jim Tracy. So, yeah, I mean, it's not like he had been around the ballpark even as a young kid. So, for everybody involved, I think it's a great situation for Parker. It's a good situation for the Rockies to move forward.
One on Tulowitzki. Troy, a base hit to right, his first time. And another base hit to right.
Taking what they're giving him. A steady diet of fastballs away, and that was at 96 on the outer half of the plate, about knee high. So what he's doing is, because they're staying on that outside corner, then you're going to take it. The ball's out here. Very difficult at 96 to try to pull the baseball. So just put a good swing on the ball, and that's exactly what Tulowitzki's done twice. 2 for 2 in the game now.
2 outs, Troy at first, Kadire at the plate. Michael grounded into a 5-4-3 his first time. Sunday, 2 for 5, 3 RBIs as the Rockies knocked off the Dodgers 3-1. Wells Fargo customers, get your 2-for-1 Rockies club level seats today by going to wellsfargo.com/Rockies. Wells Fargo Bank, member FDIC. George, I don't think you can overstate how important the final week was before the All-Star break for the Rockies, in that this is a base hit to center field, and Tulowitzki will go first to third. And that will allow Helton to come up. In that the Rockies, at the start of that 10-game road trip, Frazier, they lost 3 in Arizona. They played bad baseball. There's no other way to spin it. They played poorly and were swept by Arizona. You're going to San Diego, a team that hadn't been playing well, but still dangerous, because we've seen them play very well for about a month and a half. And then LA, the hottest team in baseball. They go 4-3 in the week, take 2 of 3 in San Diego, and split against the Dodgers in a place they rarely play well against, as I said, the hottest team in baseball.
Right.
Big
Again,
week to give you momentum going into the break.
There's no question. I mean, to go in against the Dodgers, who have been, what are they, 7-8? Here's one to the screen.
Backstop, Tulowitzki coming, and he is out at the plate.
Shortest backstop behind Wrigley Field. Good hustle by Castillo and Samardzija. They got there in a hurry.
Just a good break for the Cubs, and Castillo kind of with that Cheshire cat grin.
Perfect throw, it's what it takes, and they did it. Yeah, tag out front. the pitchers, you're always worried about legs.
A solo home run to tie things up in one. Wellington Castillo will lead things off in inning number 5 for the Cubs. Wells Fargo customers we told you about. I'm sorry, we're doing our AT&T trivia question. My bad. Who's the only Rocky to ever win the National League Rookie of the Year award? He's in the house. We talked about him earlier.
And there should have been a couple others. Should have been a couple others.
Well, Helt very close, lost to Kerry Wood. Tulowitzki very close, lost to Ryan Braun.
Wow, how'd that feel?
How'd that miss him? Hit the bat. Did it hit the bat?
Here's the back of the inning. Now remember, very short backstop, a snap throw in. Samardzija caught the baseball and just applied the tag to Tulowitzki. Everything in line right there. See Todd directing, gonna have to get him on the ground in a hurry. Watch Samardzija's left ankle right there. That's the biggest concern. Watch his left ankle as he strides across the plate. Tulowitzki's gonna come into it, and right there is what you really want to stay away from.
That first pitch, George, did not hit his back, so it's 2 balls and a strike on Wellington Castillo.
What, it just hit the ground and stopped? It's weird.
Between his legs. Samardzija on deck. Rockies have out hit the Cubs 4-2, now 4-3. Here's one of those deals. Samardzija obviously will be bunting, where this is where Helton's so good. He can jump on a bunt. You have a catcher running at first. You have a chance to get the lead runner here, more so in this situation than you ordinarily would.
Well, with the catcher running, not anything against catchers, but normally they're not very fast.
And it's bunted in the air, and Rosario cannot get there. In Bayside, Queens. Playoff spot, manager of the year for Walt Weiss. Taking care of his, well, that's a good bunt. Arenado to air it out to LeMahieu. George, it's a good thing that DJ is 6'4".
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it was a very good bunt. And I actually think Nolan was thinking about letting it go. That's what I think he was thinking about doing, because this ball comes out grass, now it's on the dirt. Is it going to spin out of it? And as a defender, you've got to realize immediately what that ball's going to do. And it appeared to Nolan it was probably going to stay straight and on the dirt, and you'd have a fair ball in first and second, so you took the out. Smart move.
I like that response, by the way. Rocktober, and all set. Here to that, Darwin Barney at the plate. Castillo at second base. Barney's 0 for 2. And this ball is cut off by LeMahieu, spins and throws out Barney. That's a great play by DJ LeMahieu. Not only did he save a run, he got an out.
How about the I tell you, his defense, you know, people tell you when you first hear about a trade, LeMahieu more of a guy that doesn't have a lot of range. He doesn't move well. Well, folks, I can tell you, it moves as good as any second baseman in the National League. His ability and athleticism for 6'4" to hit his knees, slide, and then from the knees, a strike to Todd Helton. Pretty good.
Nolan Arenado, hearing from his teammates, came your way twice. Cody Ransom at the plate with 2 outs. That's a strike. I mentioned this earlier. The Cubs rotation has been very good. They're 9 games under 500. Don't blame their rotation. Garza, who may or may not be a Cub at this time next week
Or tomorrow.
Travis Wood, who the Rockies won't see in this series. Travis Wood, one of the league leaders in quality starts this year for Dale Swain. And then Jeff Samardzija, who has, you know, a wonderful arm. So they have a solid rotation. Now their bullpens had to be remade as the season is worn on.
Well,
and offensively, they're a couple of bats short.
They're a couple of bats short, but they're getting those bats back, and I think that's what they're looking at. If they do trade Garza, if they do trade some of these other guys, I know a lot of teams are looking at Russell too. They'd like to have him in their bullpen. So when they do, Dale Swain all of a sudden is going to have a club stacked up. Be a pretty good baseball team.
1-2 on Ransom. De La Rosa, 66 pitches in, working in the 5th inning. Real good number. Bayside, Queens, by the way, probably about 45 minutes from where Walt grew up in Rockland County, New York. Town is suffering. Here's the 2-2.
Notice now, it seems like that they're laying off the split finger a lot more than they were early in the ball game. They were chasing early, making it throw the more for a strike. Left-handed hitting Rizzo in the on-deck circle. They choose to go to the changeup. Become a favorite for De La Rosa. If you don't get a swing and miss, a lot of times you do get the ball hit on the ground because of the spin of the split finger causing the ball to go down in the strike zone, not staying flat in the zone.
Another 3-2 upcoming to Cody Ransom. Ball 4, so it'll be first and third, and Anthony Rizzo will come up. Rizzo a walk and a pop out. Rizzo came up with the Red Sox, was traded to San Diego, part of that Adrian Gonzalez deal, and then on to the Cubs. And the link, this is fouled off. Jed Hoyer, who worked for Theo Epstein in Boston, then went on to San Diego.
And Josh Burns, who worked with Theo in Boston.
Right, and then on to Chicago, and they've always loved Anthony Rizzo. So they went out and acquired him from San Diego when they took over the operations of the Cubs.
And then signed him to a long-term contract, letting him know that he and Starlin Castro, you're cornerstone guys.
Put an enormous facelift on Wrigley Field as well. Two strikes on Rizzo. Jorge De La Rosa, lefties hitting just .205 against him. 1-1 game, top of 5. De La Rosa 30-12 in his career at Coors Field. Think about that. 18 games above 500. Swung on and missed, and De La Rosa strikes out Rizzo with 2 aboard. Castillo left at third, Ransom at first. We'll go to the bottom of the 5th. The Rockies won and the Cubs won. George Frazier and Mark Stout. Todd Helton will be first against Samardzija in the 5th. Here are the DirecTV National League West standings as we begin the second half of the season. Diamondbacks continue to lead. The Dodgers, the resurgent Dodgers, have reached 500. They're 2.5 games back. They're in a, well, they're up 3-2 in the 9th inning in Washington. Rockies are 4.5 back. Giants 6.5, and then the Padres 8.5. Strike one on Helton, grounded out the second. A wide open division.
It's there for the taking.
Hoping to climb to the top.
Just get hot a little bit.
Look out. A little out in front.
Just a little bit.
Jeff Samardzija, first-team All-American wide receiver when he was at Notre Dame. Gets help in the ground to Barney. He was a first-round talent, but didn't go till much later in the draft because there were concerns that Samardzija would go to the NFL and play football.
They still gave him $10 million. The first 8,000 fans on Thursday, July 25th, will receive a Great Clips coupon. Stylists will be on site providing haircuts and collecting donations for Colorado Rockies charities presented by Great Clips. So where are they going to be cutting hair? Said they're going to be on site cutting hair. You and I should go get our haircut.
I go to Great Clips all the time.
We should go get our haircut.
Samardzija hasn't been to Great Clips in a while.
No, but he's getting a lot of ground ball outs in this thing.
Well, it's been a much better performance than his last two prior to the break when he gave up 14 runs in 10 2/3. Nolan Arenado coming up. AT&T trivia question: who's the only Rocky to ever win the National League Rookie of the Year award? Well, we told you the two guys that finished a close second. Tulowitzki and Helton, the only guy to win it. In 2001, 2002, Jason Jennings.
Well, what a neat night that was in New York. His opening act in a Rocky uniform. It's a home run. DH'd while he was a member of the Baylor Bears in college, so he could always swing the bat. Could really pick it. Great to see him on the field today when I walked out. He's still teaching. He's got a cage down in the Dallas area. They're still doing an awful lot of teaching with some younger kids. Do you realize 2 years ago he pitched an independent league and won 14 games with like 14-2, looking to continue his career, and it just didn't work out.
Jason had a great collegiate career in Waco at Baylor. This is line to right field. Pelt is there. Good to see a lot of former Rockies. Ben Petrick in today. Pedro Estrada.